Welcome back. Financial Issues. I'm Dan Celia. It's great to be here. It is Friday. Friday usually means Rapid Fire Friday. That's when we try to move as quickly as we can through the calls. So give us a call. Cue your call up early. We'll get to calls right at the next break. And we'll stay with calls once we do that. 866-300-9298. 866-300-9298. That is the call-in line. So give us a call and cue your call up. Friday, we ask you to keep your comments, your questions relatively short as possible. If I have a follow-up question, something I need to know from you when you ask your question, I will ask it right away, and then we'll move on. I'll answer your question as we move on. So 866-300-9298. It is a beautiful day here in Philadelphia, which is a joy to see. The sun out and bright, or at least the sky's clear anyway. We got about another 4 inches here overnight, after the 16 inches we already had. But I hope this is it, because I am so tired. I saw an article yesterday that there has been snow in 49 states. I assume, was it 49 or 46? I think it was 49. I don't know who didn't. 49. Devin heard the same. So I guess it was Hawaii. I don't think Hawaii saw any snow, do they? Or do they count I don't know. I don't know if the mountains on Hawaii. But anyway, so it's been cold. Let's talk about what is coming up. There's so little economic data coming out this morning. The Dow yesterday was up 63, so that's good news. NASDAQ up 39. I think the NASDAQ yesterday was a 7th day in a row win streak for the NASDAQ. The S&P up 10 yesterday. Gold looks like gold is heading, if not, I'll tell you in a second, if not going over 1,300 for the first time in a while. Yes, it's at 1,314 right now. Gold up 1,460. Oil is 115 right now. Silver 2108. So silver's making a pretty decent run. Not only got over the $20 mark, but now is at 2108. So it is up right now about 3.63%. Gold up 1.12%. And I know a lot of people interested in that. All the agricultural commodities, all of them, well in positive territory. As a matter of fact, wheat's up over 1%. Everything is in positive territory as far as the commodities. The only thing that isn't is crude oil is on the way down, but it is holding right now at 2015. So that's what's happening in the markets. It looks like the futures are kind of flat right now. Not a lot of movement in the futures. They were waiting for, everybody's waiting for consumer sentiment data. According to the headlines, consumer sentiment data will be out at, I think, 9:45 or 10 o'clock Eastern time. That is the Michigan consumer sentiment number. This would be the first read in February. The dollar falls against its rivals of China. The Aussie dollar also increased against the U.S., citing primarily U.S. retail sales numbers that I talked about yesterday. Retail sales numbers down. European stock market is moving higher on some good economic growth. They got an unexpected boost out of construction spending through Europe. That was up, so that has helped the session in Europe right now, so that is good news. They had a 1.5% increase in construction spending over in the UK, so that has gone a long way, obviously, to help those markets. Let's see. Other than that, that's about it. What we are expecting here, I think it's going to be very interesting to continue to watch the equity markets and the bond markets here. I'm going to be watching that very closely. I've got an article in my newsletter this week in reference to that. Folks, if you don't get my newsletter, it is free. It's an email newsletter, and it comes out at the close of the market on Friday every week, gives you a little bit of recap. All you have to do is go to the website at financialissues.org, and you can sign up for that email newsletter. Again, it's once a week. It comes out on Fridays. There are tens of thousands of people that receive the email every week. I write a couple articles. This week, I wrote a little bit of a recap on what to expect in the upcoming weeks, in my opinion. Talked a little bit about what is happening with some of the economic numbers and the unemployment numbers. So you can check that out. I also include some other articles that I know will be of interest to you. And then I do a little thing called the shorts. And at the end, where we go through and just give you headlines of a number of issues, most of that coming from Gallup. So involves some polls. That's always very interesting. So check it out. You can go. I recap the markets for the week as well. It's the first thing I do on the newsletter is recap all the economic data that has come out. So you can get that by going to financialissues.org and sign up for that. Some interesting articles I put on my Facebook page that I sent out by way of Twitter. At Financial Issues is the Twitter handle, at Financial Issues. So check them out. Some of those things I consider must reads. It's very interesting to hear some of the debate that's going on in Washington right now. And one of the things that is happening, there was an interesting article talking about Kay Hagan out of North Carolina. I also sent that out. And basically, Kay Hagan continues to reinvent herself. She is putting on a different face every week based on the economic data. Well, no, not the economic data, based on the data that is coming out in reference to Obamacare. It's very difficult for Kay Hagan, who is in a battle for her job, her life there in the Senate in North Carolina, is trying to reinvent herself and distance herself from all things Obamacare as quickly as possible. It's not going to work. The voters of North Carolina are a little bit smarter than to sit and listen to something that you're saying between now and November and think that that is the new you, and that's what you really believed. It's going to always go back, and hopefully from here on in, it's always going to go back. And I think the voters of North Carolina are going to bring it back to Obamacare that you loved and you supported, that you thought was the greatest thing since sliced bread. Now it's coming to the fact that come November, you might have to go out and get a real job. So it is very, very interesting to see how the Senate and congressional candidates are fighting for their job because of Obamacare. It's going to be very, very interesting November elections. That is for sure, to see what kind of sweep we have in with Democrats. I hope some Republicans get replaced here in the primaries as well, like a whole bunch of them get replaced in the primaries. Guys like John Boehner and Mitch McConnell, Eric Cantor. I don't even think they have a candidate against Eric Cantor or in the primaries, or John Boehner for that matter. So they're pretty much going to just dance right on in to another term unopposed. Therein lies the problem with our system right now, that 70% of these guys are going to get reelected because they don't have anybody in opposition in the primaries. And I'm not sure when that's going to change. And that goes to the local, in this case, Republican parties in the counties and the state offices that are unwilling, because they're getting pressure from the candidates, not to put up anybody against them in the primaries. It's going to take a grassroots effort in order to get that done, and I would hope that that would happen. The president still in denial that he knew anything about the website disaster, which is seeming more and more unlikely. But it doesn't matter, because this is a White House that believes that the entire voting bloc of the country is just dumb, and he can say whatever he wants. I hope that is changing. But we will continue to blame. Here's a clip. I'm going to go to clip 73, Devin, clip 73. A very interesting comment coming out of John Boehner. It's only a little 15-second clip of John Boehner, but it's very interesting to hear this, because, you know, it is amazing that they continue to talk about the leadership, the royalty of the Republican Party, continue to talk about what they believe, what they want, what voters want them to say, while they vote the total opposite. Boehner's talking about, this was right after the debt ceiling vote. Boehner's talking about this as if he had nothing he could do about it. Not only that, if he was opposed to raising the debt ceiling, if he thinks it's bad for the country, I want to know why he voted for it. It's amazing. Devin, are we able to get that clip? You got it? Okay, let's go ahead.
Understand, it's the president driving up the debt, and the president wanting to do nothing about the debt that's occurring, will not engage in our long-term spending problem, and so let his party give him the debt ceiling increase that he wants.
Because I give up, and I'm not going to try to force the issue. After all, that's what the president wants to do. I think, frankly, that it's embarrassing that the Speaker of the House would make these comments. It's embarrassing. Well, it's the president driving up the debt and wanting to do nothing to address this problem for the country. What about the spineless Republicans doing nothing? They all voted for it. The royalty of the party. It's unbelievable. I think it's an embarrassment that he would sit there and just blame the president as if this is the majority leader of the House of Representatives, as if they had absolutely nothing to do with it or could do anything with it. So they just quickly caved because, after all, it's the president that's doing this. Let his party deal with it. I thought we had a two-party system so we wouldn't just have to let the other party do it, and there could be balance and checks inside the walls of Congress. But apparently not in this case. I'm telling you, it's just unbelievable. It's one thing to be weak. It's another one to admit it. It's another thing to just openly say, well, you know what, we're a little bit too weak, and this is what they want, so we're not even going to stand up against it. Oh, we know it's wrong. We know it's wrong, but we won't dare stand up against it. Some things better happen in 2014. It doesn't look like we're going to lose John Boehner because he'll be back in the Congress. Whether he'll be the majority leader or not is another story. We have one leader in the House of Representatives, Nancy Pelosi, who seems to be really the only one leading, if you can call what she says and does leadership, but at least she's leading and Boehner is following. So I don't know if Boehner is a leader or a follower. I haven't figured it out, and I haven't figured out if the majority party in the House of Representatives means anything when basically the Democrats are calling all the shots. So we've got the liberals calling everything and the conservatives whining, moaning, complaining, and crying about it. Not doing anything about it, just whining, moaning, and crying. 866-300-9298, 866-300-9298. If you want to weigh in, it's Rapid Fire Friday. We're going to try to move as quickly as we can. 866-300-9298. I've got some other clips here, but we're going to get to the phone. It's Friday. We're going to stay with the calls. You're listening to Financial Issues, American Family Radio Network. Financial Issues. I'm Dan Celia, and we're going to be right back after this break. We got a little spot right after the break that we've got to drive home today. It's Friday. It's a good day to do it. And then we're going to get to the phone. Stay with the phones. We've got one line open, 866-300-9298.